drinking HOBBS coffee is like drinking rare jewels, and I just love that because it's weird. And he hand cut. I mean, he did it the way this guy did it, like with vinyl and cut out. If it doesn't taste good in just a white cup at 6 in the morning, it's probably not a good cup of coffee. And I love our coffee.
It's roasted much longer, and it has a really strong flavour to it. Yeah. I think that's what coffee is supposed to taste like, you know.
What is the story, Bill, of HOBBS Coffee? How did it begin, and by whom?
Chaotically, and by me and a couple partners. In the course of 24 hours, I had one friend approaching me, telling me we should start a business.
I knew Bill before he started HOBBS. He wanted to open up something at some point.
Maybe 8 or 9 years old. Because you found this one, this drawing he'd done with him with a chef's hat on, and he had his spatula waving in the air or whatever, you know, and the teacher had written underneath, "William tells me he wants to be a chef." So I guess he was always interested, you know, yeah.
And the concept kind of fell into my lap.
I cannot believe Bill found this location. Stars aligning.
So you had everything come together as far as the investors, the timing for you, but the other factor was this was vacant at the time. Is that right?
Most definitely.
So it's almost like the universe gave you all the right things at the right time, and
I'm not particularly spiritual and surely not religious, but there are things that happen, and this place confronts me with them a lot that are unusual, and it's mysterious to me. I'm happy, but I'm happy because it's challenging. Right. Even though we're busy and we're established and there are people here, things break all the time, great things happen all the time, so you can never tell. And this place feels very much like a force to me, which I appreciate. But because it's a force, I try not to take it for granted.
We can be more of like the punk coffee shop that like, it's just how we are. Like it's sometimes it seems like a little like grungy. We have a little bit of like attitude, rough around the edges, but like we're not too scary. We just like loud music. We tell a joke or two, liven the mood.
It's literally a bar in the morning. That's what we are.
Yeah, people just stand up.
I grew up in this town, so I know I tend to know people.
The environment of HOBBS is almost like a sandbox. Like they use that term, I think, in like computer science. If the coding's wrong or anything, you can like kind of tweak it and learn like new tricks or techniques. There's like definitely a lot of playroom and wiggle room at HOBBS.
So Bill, why the name HOBBS?
That was my mom. That was the easiest thing we did here. I sat with her, asked her what we should name it. She said HOBBS right away. A lot of people tell me in London there's like 20 different places called HOBBS, so maybe that was just in her subconscious, but she said it worked. It was a 1-second conversation.
It was his mom that came up with the name, and she was thinking of European coffee shops that are like one word that don't necessarily mean anything.
In the coffee shop and like setting the mood, making sure everyone's comfortable. Like if I notice some people aren't concentrating, I'll try to change up the vibe a little bit. Sometimes people squish the tables together. Like they might want to sit with all 7 of their friends and like 3 or 4 tables for your 7 friends and go for it. Just put it back when you're done, which
never happens.
I think everybody tries to be respectful. The students really are still learning how to be people too, so they're learning how to be respectful, and you have to give respect to get respect.
I feel so bad for some of those mugs. They break a lot.
Oh yeah, they get banged up. We go through a lot of mugs.
It's not only about the coffee. It's about the people. It's about the space. It's about the community. The reason for becoming the mayor was to really bolster the idea of community and kind of what that means and what it can, how we can create a better place for all of us to live.
I was 21 when I got the keys to this place. I had no business background. I didn't know what I was doing. Still don't. It's easy to be afraid And I probably would have been afraid had I not had parties insisting and moving things along.
Sure.
But it's nice, when those opportunities present themselves, and you just kind of have to dive in.
Me and Bill are essentially the same age, so to see one of your peers now opening up a shop, it's inspiring.
We were a pretty rough place for a couple of years. When we first started, again, I was 21. My partner, he must have been 19. Little children opened a coffee shop. By virtue of being in Swarthmore and it being a community who really, really wanted something here, and stuck with us and let us make the mistakes that we make less of as time goes by. When I found this location, it was empty. I walked around the entire bill, which took 6 minutes, and I was just shocked to see there wasn't a coffee shop. This community wanted something so much that we had 2 years of mistakes before we hit our stride. So, and that's what I think about. I'm like, well, I'm grateful because the community has been so giving to us. Again, Swarthmore, I mean, we're lucky. We're lucky.
Bill's always been very generous, like Rob has been very generous with his space. And I think the common factor between those two is just that belief in that, these are things that build community. These are things that sort of work in that direction. And we would not be as great a community as we are right now if it wasn't for people like Rob and people like Bill at HOBBS.
A place that's very welcoming and a place that caters to students, to residents, to any age group you can imagine. It's a melting pot for where I do business and also where I live. Getting to know a lot of the people that work there, they're great people who are pursuing their passion, which I can appreciate. We've held a couple joint shows here. I always look forward to that night because the vibe and the feeling is that everybody's really here for the right reason. And I'm just like a fly on the wall watching that. And then they come up to me and they're like, wow, that was interesting. That was, I know, in being kind of from this town and part of the fabric of this town, that's what makes it great.
Over the years, sense of community has become the most important thing for me personally. To know people and be known where I live. HOBBS feels like the town's living room to me.
I had a customer a few years back who they had a 4-year-old, and he said at home they play HOBBS, and that's really wild to me. Yeah, that's so strange and cool.
It attracts a level of eccentricity and thoughtfulness. Someone who wanted to settle somewhere outside of a city. But I consider it kind of a real renaissance in this town, from HOBBS to Warehouse 3 to the new galleries in town. It's really changed. Substantially connected creative businesses.
It's welcoming. That's what I find about what I like going there. I get my coffee there, and actually my cappuccino is what I get. Oh. I told them, please don't sell me that cake. Just tell me to go away. It's a small world, and that's how we became friends after that. I mean, as I say, I didn't know Chris before that.
I'm not sure. Bill's making pizza.
I didn't know he worked at HOBBS, and I walked into HOBBS one day, and he's there, and I'm like, whoa, what's she doing? That's my buddy there. And again, the girls, I speak to the girls every morning. I go in, I get my coffee. It's just a very friendly place.
It's a It's a gathering place. It's like a pub without alcohol.
There's a group in there, the 9 o'clock coffee group. None of them live in Swarthmore. They all come,
Right.
from other places to HOBBS. They're sort of ambassadors for Swarthmore at the same time in a lot of ways.
And our weekend we used to do every Saturday was get on the train at Rose Valley, get off at Swarthmore, and go to HOBBS.
Current president of the college, Valerie Smith, would come down to Swarthmore in the summertime and go immediately to HOBBS. And she did this for about 2 weeks because she wanted to sort of get a feel for the place, a feel for the town.
So how do you see the role of a community coffee house?
It's like a social gathering place, meet people and maybe find out things that are going on in the area.
It's very good for this area people, it's a community, You just stay home, too boring. And then you go out, you meet some people, you have to get some different news.
Conversation with some of these students?
Yes,
and speaking your native tongue?
Yes, yes. Connect a different race people, different. They say here he can find a lot of England people or some German, right?
Yeah.
So people go to there, you feel comfortable.
When we were campaigning, we did a lot of phone banks at HOBBS after hours. And
Pennsylvania senator used to hold his office right here where we're sitting. Yeah, if you wanted to come talk to the mayor of Swarthmore, this is where he had his meetings and stuff like that. I mean, I don't want to overplay it, but it's like a nexus, a place where everybody comes together.
For the 9 months we were open at 6, we did no business at all. But Mark would come in kind of 10 minutes to, and I would often be asleep on the couch while we're open. Again, these were the early times where it's insane. I'd be asleep on the couch, we'd be open, he'd wake me up. The period when we first started is like a dark period. I was wildly depressed. I was sleeping in the basement, and this was in the winter, and it was very cold. And this was months. I'd have a sleeping bag, and it was so cold I had to wrap it till just my nose was out so I could breathe. Wow. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night with a purple nose. I mean, it's romantic, but it was bleak, and it's a miracle I didn't lose my nose.
We had the couches up here at one time, with people on the couches, people downstairs. And then when I first moved to the back, Bill crashed over there.
And the guy goes, he's like, I know you think you're being helpful to your business, but you're not. You're probably getting in everyone's way. You look terrible. And these were the learning experiences.
In 2010, things were looking pretty shaky. Slowly, we got it on track. I was quite worried for a while. It's funny, you'd wake up at 5 in the morning thinking, oh my goodness, are we in real trouble? And I remember one morning, I just slept right through to like 8 o'clock, and I thought, it must be okay, so something's right here, because now I don't feel worried anymore, and it's gone on leaps and bounds since then. But I'd say it took a good year to get off the ground.
My dad spent the next year and a half fixing the taxes he did. So,
wow.
Yeah, and that was among the reasons we almost closed.
There were some days where it was me and him most of the days. When there was a smaller staff, it was so slow that Bill would occasionally literally sit on the chairs over there and just come in when someone came in. And there was a few times where I would sit with him over there and just talk with him, and 45 minutes would go by before someone would come in. Wow.
But it's always evolving, and I'm grateful for that, because it would get stagnant if it wasn't. And I'm happy now with how things are going, but there's always so much to build upon.
One of us has to grab the dish bin, one of us is doing dishes at the time, and then someone's cooking back there. and someone's got to come from the barista area to wash a few pitchers, and it can all happen at the same time. And then I want to kill them all.
This is a kitchen. Our kitchen's a joke. It's the size of this table.
Yeah.
But we do, it's worth saying, I mean, we do unbelievable volume and catering and scale of work out of that small kitchen. If I had a bigger kitchen, I'd probably be doing really stupid things.
The conversations you have just behind this tiny little counter back here is
that everybody
insane.
can hear.
Insane,
It's
yeah.
so easy to forget.
And we're also like inches away from each other all the time in the kitchen. It's the smallest kitchen. But so many things happen in that kitchen.
Yeah.
You know?
From my perspective, I'm just consistently trying to make the experience smoother.
Bill's just, he's cool because he's off his rocker. So like, but he's very wise. Like, if I ever talk to Bill and I'm in a bad mood, he always will know what to say.
This place exists in a constant humming state, so it's beaten up. It's a beaten up place.
He also likes to see like the artist in anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky to be surrounded, the staff here puts me in a position where it's always done. And if it's not done, it's shocking. That gives me the opportunity to become unusual.
I'm really lucky that Bill is someone who lets people kind of do whatever they want to do as far as food goes. And I didn't become a vegan until I started working here, but then Bill let me do specials every Sunday.
That's part of the really fun thing with being here, is being with the other creatives who are enthusiastic also, bouncing ideas off of each other. Whereas there's some like this where Bill's I know what I want, and it's just creating it.
There's a lot of artistic people that come in here, a lot of musicians, a lot of philanthropists.
So approachable. We'll work with you, find people's strengths, and not micromanage.
The sink always used to come off, so I started bringing extra pairs of shirts, because if the faucet would come off, it would spray you directly in the chest. I had that one guy with the steamed milk. Remember that guy?
The guy that
Threw it on
said
the ground.
one large,
Yeah,
please.
he just came up and he said, "1 large, please." And I wasn't even at the register.
One girl that came in one time and she ordered something, and it was weird. It was the way I looked into her eyes, and I had this feeling like she was a ghost. And I swear, I had this really eerie feeling. Her name, I can't remember her name. It was some odd name, and she was wearing a safety jacket. And I just had this feeling that made me feel scared when I talked to her, and I don't get that from any people, but I just had this weird feeling. I've seen many aspects of everyone. There's a lot of places you can work and you won't see the people you work with as real people. There's a lot of emotional, everyone feels some kind of, they have to do something because we care about each other.
The sweetest people. It's crazy how nice they are. And they both have that little smile and a little kind of thing.
I don't know what this is. But I always come back here when I want that familial feeling, I have my real family, but then I got my family here, and it's funny, people that don't work here anymore, I'll run into them because they'll come in here for that same feeling.
It's being a family with the staff. It's almost like family with the customers too. There's definitely a strong connection.
I met my boyfriend here too, and we've been dating for a while, so it's pretty cool. And I feel like most of the people that I work with are pretty close friends at this point.
Can you say that your experience has changed in some way how you look at the world?
Yeah. Definitely. I think HOBBS is definitely I don't know if the word's amalgamation, but it's just kind of a mix of a bunch of really odd things, and that's why it's what it is. There's nothing like it. I've never been to another coffee shop like HOBBS.
I mean, it seems like it already is the best thing for Swarthmore right now.
Right.
And it's fun just to be "Hey Kevin, how's your day going?" And it just seems a lot more personable than just being strangers. I think 90% of our customers are regulars. So I know a lot of them by a first name basis, and I think a lot of the everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Jeremy,
I'm
Francine.
looking at 2 right now. I know their names. We've had some college students in the past. We've had very good relationships with. We talk to constantly.
Oh yeah.
So it's it's not always like that. It's just, they also disappear at some point. They graduate and then they're gone. They're literally gone forever.
I found this place. I was actually in Dunkin' Donuts
Dunkin'
when
Donuts,
I noticed. Yeah, me and one of my friends were getting ice cream, and I was like, "Oh, that's a coffee shop. I should work there." Well, obviously the coffee's awesome. I still buy the coffee and people. I met a lot of cool people working here. Bill's definitely fun. He came to my 21st birthday party. He brought me a cold brew, and when I wasn't paying attention, Bill was pouring whiskey into my coffee.
Nothing is done without the utmost heart behind it. Everyone who's here are a driven and creative bunch, and being surrounded by those types of people feeds your creativity. Chris and his cookies and his waffles and his baking in general forces me to kind of bring it more. Fran has been here for years and only now is really taking up vegan cooking. Because she's a vegan, she's been teaching herself how to make nut cheeses and just remarkable stuff. I think that's great because now I need to do something to inspire her, and it's like an engine, like pistons just feeding each other.
When I was a student at Swarthmore College, Swarthmore, the town, seemed really far away from the campus, and we kind of did all our stuff on campus. Never did anything. There was nothing to do in town. I see this as a complete revival now, where the students come down here, park their laptops, study for their honors exams in May. It's wonderful for the students, but the locals also come here. And so there's a mixture of students and older people and a wonderful mixture of the community. And I find it incredibly refreshing. Just asked Bill, who's just this awesome owner, "Hey, Bill, do you know what Liège waffles are?" And he said, "Yeah, I do." And not that many people know. And I said, "Do you think we could ever make them here?" And he said, "Sure, why not?" So January 2013, we made our first batch of waffles here. The main goal for making the waffles is an awareness program for Tourette syndrome, which my oldest daughter has. We're just about to start business with Chris, the barista here at HOBBS. I taught Chris how to make the waffles, and he's really perfected it.
So I stop off to get my reading in for the day, and it cuts my trip in half virtually.
How long have you been coming?
Since they opened, from the very beginning. I like the ambiance. I like the fact that there's a lot of college kids that come in, and also the older people that come in are interesting. I've met a number of interesting people here.
It's a place where I didn't have to be anybody. I could just be by myself. I could read. I could drink my latte. I could have my lunch, or I could just read and drink my latte. I mean, there's really an openness to just sort of being here, which is just, I love. It's just a nice, wonderful place to be and to experience intergenerationality, if you will. Here is a place where community really exists. As a Quaker, I know the importance of community if we're to have a peace in the world that we say we want. Here is a place that actually really builds that community. In some ways, without trying too hard, just simply being nice and offering hospitality.
The people that run it and the people that work there, it's done with such an easy grace. It's like they're not even really trying to do anything in particular except have a nice coffee shop.
You know, HOBBS has become my hangout place now. And now that I've moved back to Swarthmore, I like that it's an independent coffee shop, a little bit of a combination cafe social club. little peculiar range of characters who come in, especially since the college is filled with characters and the town is filled with characters. So I can blend in a little bit.
I'm just here preparing for an interview. I'm a neuroscientist, and I'm visiting from California. I grew up in this town since like for 3rd grade. I have a lot of memories like growing up here. I really like this coffee shop because it's got like a lot of space on the tables, and the drinks are good and at affordable prices.
The institution itself is very interesting. I find the workers, the owner, and the people that come in, and how it acts as a community center where all this energy of different people conglomerate, and you see all different kinds of people here. And beyond that is the coffee and the food. The space is just unbelievable. I don't even know how they do it. It really is incredible that they're able to put out as much food as they do in such a short amount of space. And Bill's a genius in that regard. He's got to make the most of that small space. It makes you feel like you're a stronger part socially of the community that you live and work in.
When we started, it was my dad on register and me doing everything else. And I was outside smoking, and the guy walked by, and I was just like, "Come and work," and he did. Then he brought his 2 friends, and now we got 3 people working, and a couple girlfriends came in. Now you got 5. Kind of it always flips in cycles. If one person left of that group and was replaced with another person, now this new person in would start having their friends get into the fold. And slowly this group of people would leave. That completely defeated the purpose of everything. There's always curating personalities here, because it's an environment that everybody needs to care about each other. I never tolerated kind of backbiting or really internal issues because we don't have the space to hate each other. Jen's been here for years. Chris has been here for years. Jeremy's been here for years.
Some people that young don't even know how to wash dishes yet. So that's the first thing. We teach them how to wash some dishes, and then that's their job until they start getting other notches on their belt.
To be honest, I started washing dishes. That was literally it. Bill's like, just wash dishes, and then you can start doing more things very soon.
I believe it was Sal that came up with your tagline.
Where coffee meets mouth?
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's incredible at what he does. Also, I think Salvatore's a genius. As far as graphic design, he did our logo. He did where coffee meets mouth.
It's all in the bathroom.
Yeah, every poster is him. Sal's incredible, but he did a lot of them work for me.
Your graphics have had a big influence on HOBBS. And Bill gives you all kinds of credit. He even called you a genius.
He is too kind. He is the best in the world.
I wish I had the money to have him in a room designing stuff for me every day. It sounds wild. Yeah.
I almost putting new energy in it, fanning Bill's flame. But as you mentioned, he's definitely the glue that holds everything together.
And it's just, he's cultivated quite the atmosphere here and quite the energy.
What about the people that moved on, that used to work here?
Yeah, it's like a lot to live up to, because the people that worked here before, they're so great. So it's just sad, because I've only been working here about a year, but the people that have moved on, since I've started working here, you just miss them like every day,
They made this place what it is, and we owe a lot to them.
I think a lot of people find it hard to leave HOBBS just because of the connection that we all have with each other. Like, even when people find other jobs, they kind of they're like, oh, I'll do an hour or two on the weekends. Like, Bill, like, please put me on. Like, I'll wash dishes, whatever. I just want to come hang out.
And here we are now doing this.
That's also what's pretty great about Hubs. Like, it's like accidental networking all the time. Like, you're always meeting new people and learning new pieces of their life.
Oh, and I'm so bad at networking too. So this is perfect. This is like beginner networking. It's perfect.
If you can't handle just like that, then
Can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Exactly.
Literally.
That's what they say.
Literally, it's really hot back there. And then we have some people who are like 15, 16, who've never worked in this environment before, that can get a little flustered sometimes. And that happens, but they learn, and they learn quick.
I'm Bridget Ann Shea.
Okay.
Yeah.
You only need a minute.
Yeah. Well, it's actually one word.
Oh, you want to? Oh,
I don't really want it. You know, I like going by Bridget, but my name is Bridget Ann. I mean, I really like working here, and I'll probably be here for a while longer if Bill will have me.
I feel like there's a lot of great culinary experience here that I could like just look and learn from. Like Bill with his tomato pie, kind of overseeing him as he makes that, and Chris with his pastries, like them just kind of showing me different things. I feel like I can make a career with the experience that I've learned here.
I never wanted to learn in school. Never wanted to. That's all it boiled down to. But I want to know everything I can know about cooking. And I want to know that only so I can share it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I really started cooking at all until I worked here, but now I love cooking, and it's something that I'm like looking into actually doing myself. So he's definitely inspired me a bit to expand my like weird food taste, I guess.
This can be a first job for a lot of them, so you kind of need to break them in, teach them how to be like a person and talk to people.
Hey, it's good experience.
Yeah, it really is. Great.
It really is like
many
that.
other things. We're therapists. People tell us their problems or what's going on in their lives.
There's a lot.
And we're not expected to help or do anything but listen.
There's some quirky people that come in here, which I love, you know, and like I get to be like a little corny and like goofy with them, and they're like totally for it.
Like the regulars here are just like, it's so weird. They wouldn't belong anywhere else but HOBBS.
And you met here?
Yes.
I've also grown a lot from working at HOBBS. So I've been here for 5 years. We had a little bit on my plate only because last year I was accepted by a restaurant in Copenhagen, Denmark, to undergo an internship for about 3 months. And this is the point where I was able to like kind of take a step back and look at how my life was building itself. So now I finally had that direction. I was like ready to go back, and I actually just finished my first semester going back, and it was a blast. I'm having a lot of fun studying at Widener. I quickly started seeing like little niches to carve out for myself. Like there isn't really an hierarchy in HOBBS. Like everyone is kind of on the same playing field. HOBBS like kind of pushed me all into this whole pivot. So it's been a lot of fun.
It's definitely a lot different for me. I can't follow that. It really, it's mostly because my ambitions are completely different from everyone else's, because that's just life in general. Like I have a history degree. This was like was supposed to be a stepping stone to get some experience. I have another job that I work at the same time as this one, so I'm to be honest, I am more hoping to go with that. But you know, as long as it helps other people. That's really what matters.
Chris, who's been here for a while, his band performed here. My girlfriend worked with a member of the band. They performed here. We needed staff. I offered the job to them. They both, they took a couple members of the bands, and then their friends, other band people, Arthur and Joy again. I offered jobs to them.
It was like one of my band's first shows. I think it may have been the first that we were... It was one of the first, I think maybe the first ever. And we came and we played, and all my friends came because it was just an opportunity for us to play. And then Bill was kind of going crazy, and he was like, if you ever want a job, just send me a message.
For the first time in a long time, I had very few people from the original staff. I had Chris, Fran is always kind of in a state of being here and not being here. And Jen's doing fantastic stuff. I mean, she's been going to school since we've been here. This place is so much a part of her DNA.
I am actually leaving soon. I'm leaving in April. Yeah, I'm giving my Saturday shift up. They don't need me. I'll still be coming in. You'll still see me.
2 people I hired, I knew when they were little tiny kids because both their parents are regulars here.
They are usually, obviously, young. Often it's their first or second job out of school. And to be honest, with the sort of profit margins of a little place like this, you can't pay enough money that it's a lifelong career.
I knew Abby when she must have been 10 or something, and that's unusual to me and very funny. And now she works here and she's great. So I knew of these people, but they didn't know each other. But now after, I guess, 5 months of working together, all these people are becoming friends. And it's nice to see that this is an environment where people are given the opportunity to make friends. And it sounds like kindergarten, but it's very important. It's huge even. The people I hire, they're great, miraculous people, fantastic people.
Running this time.
Food is kind of my singular passion. When I'm cooking for somebody, that's what I'm offering them emotionally. We are given so much from the community that's my kind of reciprocal thing.
Barbecue is my natural habitat.
Teaching myself how to make cheese. Tonight, probably when we're done here, I'll make some, and brewing beer.
Bill's also been a big inspiration because he was a self-taught chef, so I always saw him doing really cool things, and he's not much older than me, and he's had this business for 9 years now.
My creative process, which is basically a chef with ADD who can only commit to a concept if we really lean into it.
Bill's food has that inspiration, that smile it gives you. Just like an almost an initial first taste, having the visuals catch you.
Tell us about the special events that you host.
We kind of have always done more unusual things with First Fridays. Weird things. I have an imaginary restaurant, 2 imaginary restaurants. One is called Ronin, and Ronin are kind of a subsidiary concept of my mind that does East Asian cooking. A street noodle event, a Szechuan night, dumpling night. We did kare, which is like a Japanese curry. Another imaginary thing, which is kind of more rooted in reality, is Good Boys. And although it's not a real thing, we treat it like it is. And we just do burgers. I mean, it's literally, if I'm doing burgers, that's me in this kind of Good Boys mindset.
I probably could, but I fear that if I sit down and come back up, I'll fail.
Another event we did, I really wanted to eat all the pizza in the area. Even if people don't come, because I've given so much attention to kind of the minutiae and finer details, I'm always happy with it.
Alright, so I got a veggie right here.
The day that you shut down because of one of your employees, you completely shut down.
The long and short of that, and that's one of the things that comes in with everybody knowing each other. Brian, who passed, he was in Arthur's band, and I mean, Brian was a hell of a guy. I knew he was depressed, and I knew he had a really dark sense of humor, but everyone I know has a really dark sense of humor. And basically, we were all working, and there was a real chill, and I didn't sense it.
It was pouring.
Yeah, it was pouring.
It was just a gross
kind of
day.
foggy and disgusting out, and I got woken up with that actually.
I told Paul to go call him, and he called him. He didn't answer, and then we know his roommates. I mean, these people are so close, and I'm just given the opportunity to get close to them, which is great because they're great people.
To be honest, I was like, I hope I wasn't late.
I told him, just tell him to kick the door down. I think I may have offered to pay to fix the door. So Paul came in from outside, and he just shook his head no. The air was just sucked out of all of us.
He called me. He told me what happened, and I was like, you can't mess with me like this. And he's like, no, it's no joke. And I'm like, oh. I literally packed every single beer that I had in my fridge at the time and brought every beer here.
Yeah, a lot of beer and cigarettes, which doesn't sound healthy, but that's what everybody needed that day. And we closed the shop up early, and everybody was just hanging out outside. I think everybody had each other, like, their head on each other's shoulders. You like have to miss somebody like so immediately. I haven't had to deal a lot with death, so it was definitely like a new experience that I had to get used to like pretty fast. And also like at the same time, I wanted to be able to like support everyone else, like console them and be there for them.
It's all kids here. I mean, I started this place when I'm 21, so I lose track of my age, and I'm 30, and I'm young, but I'm older than them. Some of them I'm like 10 years older than them, but man, that was just the most terrible thing.
The worst day here ever, to say the least.
Everywhere you look, you see thousands of memories, just minutes of every day. Brian was all about jokes.
He brought the jokes.
And you can still hear his laugh like in these walls. Like it's crazy. Like I see him in my dreams sometimes still. He hasn't really left.
It's been a means for me to learn about myself.
If he's interested in something, like being a chef or music, so if he's motivated by something, he gives it everything, and that's what he's given to this place.
Right.
Yeah.
Dropped out of college. The only thing I ever liked to do was cook, and just by being a lucky person, I feel a sense of personal self-actualization through the shop.
So our days are pretty much filled with reminiscing about what happened at work.
In a month, it'll be a year. I love it. I've never worked in coffee before, so this is like my first time. I've learned so much, but yeah, I really like it.
Well, I say I get that. I kind of don't, because I've been in jobs I love, but jobs are jobs. There's just a kind of magnetism that this place offers.
There's a real tie-in with the employees of HOBBS and the ownership of HOBBS being musicians, because music is a collaborative art. A lot of the collaboration is intuitive. It takes that kind of collaboration to smoothly run a place like HOBBS.
I offer a lot emotionally to my people, maybe because I can't offer them a lot financially, so I'll go the extra mile in other directions. Maybe I should actually address success as money, but in reality it's just a matter of more of a sense of peace than anything. The place is difficult all the time.
Yeah.
but a sense of peace and a sense of purpose. Anything in this entire shop you could point at, and I could tell you the story of where it came from, what it's been through, what it's doing now. From the customer standpoint, I'm just aware that down the line, it's going to be a more refined version. To answer the aesthetic thing, it's I don't know. I appreciate people sticking with us. You live once and you die, and then you're not here anymore. So you have this period of time to try and understand who you are or what you are. And this place has really given me the opportunity to confront that with myself. Now, I mean, that's how I would define success, just like a sense of self-worth and happiness.
May I have everyone's attention? This is last call. We will be closing in approximately 15 minutes. Thank you for dining at HOBBS. Have a lovely evening, and we hope to see you all again soon. Good night.
The amount of bacon we have to cook on a day-to-day basis is stunning.